Seth and I have been best friends for the past 8 years. And while we have some interests and hobbies that overlap, for the most part, we enjoy very different things. We're not pros, we're just fanboys. Fanboys, the podcast where we catch you up on what we care about. I'm Joe.
I'm Seth. And we got a lot to talk about this week. So, Joe, let me just give you a rundown of everything we got going on.
Okay.
We are going to talk about Animal Crossing this week. But before we do that, we're going to go through the 5 questions. We're going to go to our mailbag. We're going to go to an ad break. And then, and only then, will we talk about Animal Crossing for probably 45 minutes.
That is very, very exciting. And Seth?
Yes?
I also have some exciting news.
You do?
I do. I did it. Last night, Anna and I finished all of the Marvel movies in order.
Oh my god. How are you? Are you okay?
I'm all right. I'm all right. I mean, you know, it's one thing to spend 10 years of your life with Tony Stark and another to spend like 2 straight weeks every night with Tony Stark. And then spoilers, to lose him was really hard. It was really hard.
You know,
but what?
Until you said that just now, I had lived in this blissful world where I had forgotten he died.
I'm sorry.
You should be.
I'm very sorry about that.
I'm hurting.
But here. I have some more news. While we've been going through this, Anne and I have put together a definitive, no one can fight me on this. This is the God's truth, best to worst list of the movies. And we're gonna fight about it next week.
Yeah, you bet we are. I'll contest it so much.
You'll be wrong, but that's okay.
Thor: The Dark World number one movie.
Absolutely not, but we'll get there another day.
Sounds good. Are you ready for some questions, Joe?
Absolutely. Let's hear some questions.
Great. Hey, Joe, this week, what have you been watching?
Quarantine. Thought I'd pick off some other things that I haven't watched yet. And one of them is the TV show Community, actually created by Dan Harmon, the guy who also created Rick and Morty. And funny enough, it's produced by the Russo brothers.
I did not know that.
Me neither.
The Russo brothers?
The Russo brothers, the directors of, I believe, all of the Captain America movies and the last 2 Avengers movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, and knowing that kind of opened up my eyes. They put the cast members of Community in little Easter egg characters throughout Endgame, and I think a few spots in Infinity War as well.
Yeah, and isn't Donald Glover's in Spider-Man
as
well? Yeah, those guys are all over the place.
Yeah, super cool. Seth?
Yes?
What have you been watching?
So I've been watching the YouTube, as I am wont to do, and I have another YouTube documentary recommendation. I recommended Summoning Salt last week, but I've got another one for you this time.
Let's hear it.
So this one is from a channel called SB Nation, and they have a series called Dorktown, which is hosted by John Boyce and Alex Rubinstein.
Okay.
And they basically find sports stories that are weird and usually untold before.
Ooh, interesting.
And so this series, it's I think a 6-part documentary series. 2 parts of it are out so far. They're both excellent. But it's the full history of the baseball team, the Seattle Mariners, professional baseball team. But they're known for not being very good, except for maybe sometimes. They're just kind of a dysfunctional organization, but they're very interesting from a documentary perspective.
Oh, interesting.
And so they have this whole series. John Boyce is like a master animator, in the Google products, if that makes sense. So so he animates in Google Earth and whatever, like, and Google's like modeling programs.
Okay, cool.
And he creates these super unique looking animations and graphs and charts that like move around, and he gives you this like wonderful 3D perspective as he's like talking about all sorts of like weird history, and it's really engaging, and also great to fall asleep to at night because their voices are like super relaxing.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, so it's Dorktown on SB Nation. Check it out.
Dorktown.
Joe, what have you been reading this week?
Ooh, so I came upon this really fun Twitter thread on the Facebooks that was shared by someone. I don't remember. But it was this Twitter thread about this guy who I guess he never leaves his house, but he was looking out his window and he saw that he knew full well his neighbor was married, and he'd seen the guy and his wife walking around. Well, he started noticing that throughout the day, when his wife was gone at work, another woman kept coming over.
Oh no.
Yep. He started to wonder if he should like get involved, but he decided it wasn't any of his business. But then the writer admits that he often parks in a handicap spot.
What?
Which was a weird thing.
What?
Yeah, not great. But his neighbor called the cops on him, and he got ticketed for parking in the handicap spot. So to get revenge, he told the wife. Yep. He told the wife that he came up to her and he said, "Hey, I've noticed your husband's sister coming over a lot lately."
Oh my God.
And she responded, "He doesn't have a sister."
Holy shit.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was a great little 5-minute read. Definitely link in the description.
What a bold play.
Yes. Just straight burned the guy.
Because he didn't go over there and be like, "I'm pretty sure your husband's cheating on you."
No.
Because probably she would have gone, "No, he's not. Who are you? Get out of here." Wow.
Yep.
Wow, that's next level. Also, stop parking in a handicap spot, buddy. You don't have the high ground here.
Yeah,
either.
Absolutely. I mean, he admitted that he was kind of a jerk for doing it, but yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a weird place.
So Seth,
yeah,
what have you been reading?
Well, in a similar vein, I don't think there's any way for me to segue into this. I've been reading the Ice Age 2 fan site.
You've been what?
I've been reading the Ice Age 2 The Meltdown fan site. This week, my friends decided to hold a Zoom party where we were all going to make PowerPoints on a certain topic. And as close friends of mine know, I have seen the movie Ice Age 2 probably 40 times in my life.
I didn't know this.
Oh, yeah. It was one of like 3 DVDs that my brother and I had growing up, and we would just play it over and over and over.
Okay.
And so I know the movie like back to front. And so my PowerPoint was a definitive ranking of all the characters in Ice Age 2 The Meltdown on a 0 to 100% chance scale that they would be my best friend.
Oh my gosh.
And the PowerPoint's very interesting. If you want to see me do it on this podcast, you should write into thelonelyfanboys@gmail.com and demand that I do the podcast, or that I do the presentation on the podcast, and we can see if we can make that happen. But the point is, for research, I've done a lot of reading on the Ice Age 2 fan site. You know Manny, the main character, the mammoth?
Yeah.
Voiced by Ray Romano?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Did you know his name's actually Manfred? He's Manfred the Mammoth. He just goes by Manny.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Did you know? Do you know about the sexy female sloth who Sid tries to get with?
Yeah. I remember the character.
Yeah, her name's Rose. I didn't know that one.
Okay.
Yep.
No idea.
Yep. All this and many more fun facts over at the Ice Age 2 fan site. Wow. Honestly, a really dedicated community of people who also cannot seem to spell words right.
Oh.
But that's okay. They're very endearing, and I love them very much. And they helped me out a lot on my presentation.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I just need a little sample, a little taste. Was there a 0%? Oh,
no. The lowest it got was 4, and that's for the the evil like crocodile shark creatures.
There's an evil crocodile shark character in that movie.
Have you not seen Ice Age 2, Joe?
Not for years.
Cinematic masterpiece?
Not for years, since it was on like FX and I was 10.
Yeah, okay, so these like evil villain guys are like frozen in a hunk of ice.
Okay.
And then the hunk of ice falls off the top of the dam because everything's melting. It's global warming. That's like the whole problem. It's the end of the ice age. And so it falls off the top of the dam, and then it comes down, and then it does this like turn thing where they're still frozen on the block of ice, and you look at them and you think they're just frozen, and then one of them like moves his eye, like really menacingly, and you're like, oh no, they're alive. And that was so I had a whole scoring system for this thing, but they scored 4 points on the I relate part of my scale because I related to like being frozen on a block of ice and then moving, like, you know, I'm in my bed and people think I'm dead, and then I'm like, no, I'm here, you know.
I have no memory of any of this. I'm having a little existential nightmare right now.
Well, not to turn this into an Ice Age 2 fan cast, which I would love to do at some point, but we can talk more about that later.
Yeah, I
really,
guess.
The important thing that I want to know is, Joe, what have you been listening to this week?
Yeah, so a little fun surprise came out this week. John Mulaney and Nick Kroll released a podcast version of their Broadway hit, Oh Hello.
Broadway?
It's called... It's called Oh Hello, the Podcast.
Yes.
And it is a complete parody of Serial, the podcast. And they've only released the first episode so far, but it is a treat. They have gifted us to this. They have gifted this to us, the world, and they are our new rulers. All hail John Mulaney and Nick Kroll.
And we have never needed something like this more.
No,
than we did right now.
It is so funny. They're going. Have you listened to it yet, Seth?
I have not.
Okay, it's all about them trying to recall the memories of what happened the day Princess Di died. And so they reach out to Ira Glass.
My God, no, they don't.
Yep, and they ask him for his help, and he's totally playing along where he's like, guys, this is a terrible idea. Like, no one cares about this anymore. And I think they're trying to like suggest a plot where one of them was involved in her death.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's hysterical.
Wow, I have no words. I'm gonna listen to it as soon as we're done here.
Absolutely, go listen to it. It's on most podcast apps. It's fantastic.
Wow, bless them. Honestly,
yes.
Bless them. Is Oh Hello on Broadway still on Netflix?
I believe so. I believe Netflix produced it, the video. So yes, also
cool.
Check that out if you haven't.
Yes.
It's hysterical. Anyone who has some little enjoyment of Broadway and musicals and theater, it's just a riot.
Yeah.
It's so weird, but once you get that if for someone who might not know that it's a joke,
yes,
that could be very strange.
Yeah.
But knowing that it's a joke is so great.
But also it does have legs as some sort of like existential theater piece.
Definitely.
It really is almost a Beckett play. And also, it's still like comedy. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Check out the show. Check out the podcast. They're great. Seth,
yes.
What are you listening to?
Well, I've been throwing it back. At least I thought I was this week. I've been listening to All Time Low. You know, that band that we like listened to in like middle school or something. Turns out they've been putting out music pretty consistently ever since then.
Really?
And yeah, on my Spotify, one of their songs just showed up, and it was called Sleeping In, and I was like, oh, I've never heard this All Time Low song before. I wonder how I missed it. It turns out they had released it 2 days ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, they just released an album. It's called Wake Up Sunshine, and it's honestly incredible. Their music has definitely like matured as they've all gotten older.
Sure.
But they still have that like really great sound. Like good guitars, good drums, good vocals, really relatable music. And now it's like, it feels like relatable to being like, in your 20s. And
wow.
everything kind of being wrong, but also it's okay. Everything's weird all the time. But the album's great. You can check it out on Spotify or wherever you get your music. Super solid album. Been loving it.
That's awesome. That's so great.
So, Joe, while you've been listening to Oh Hello, the podcast.
The podcast, yes.
Yes. What have you been playing?
So I just picked up this little game called Into the Breach. It's from the creators of Faster Than Light, if anyone knows that title. They are notorious for creating games that are just brutal, but very simple. And that's exactly what this game is. It feels a lot like a chess game where you're dropped onto this board and you're given 3 different types of robots to work with. One that only does close range combat, one that needs to be a good, decent a few spaces away from the target, and one that only does certain actions that are non-lethal. And so you're working together with these 3 robots to destroy all the aliens. And when you first jump into the game, it seems super simple, and then within seconds it becomes the hardest freaking thing ever. And you keep dying, and every time you die you have to go back to the very beginning of the game. And what's cool is they add this kind of time travel element where you can take back one survivor from the last game, and so he maintains his experience points and any like powers that he gained, but that's it. And so I just did a playthrough earlier today, and I got so close to the end. And I'd been building up this one fighter, and he gained a lot of experience. He'd gone through multiple playthroughs with me, and he died in the second to last battle. And I'm still a little heartbroken. It was rough. It was very rough.
This sounds like when I was talking about like losing my Pokemon.
Yep.
But it's people.
Yeah. Yep. And they're just gone. It's super fun. It's super hard. But it's like I said, it's simple enough that you can pick it up and get how to play the game right away.
Right.
So highly recommend it.
That's cool. I love games that are able to like execute that difficulty spike with like simplicity, and so it feels very fair, right? When the game's beating you, because you know what's happening. It's not that you don't understand.
Yeah.
It's that you're not smart enough yet.
Yeah.
You have to get there.
Yep.
That's super cool.
And one really cool thing is each map you're playing on, you get one do-over. So if you get to the end of moving all your guys and attacking with them, if you realized, oh, there was a different way I could have done this, you can undo that once in that battle. It's really
cool.
smart. Yeah.
That's cool.
So when you lose, you really understand like it's your fault and you did something wrong, which is kind of nice.
Right.
And gross, but yeah, you know what I mean. Seth, what have you been playing?
So, what was it? 2 weeks ago, Nintendo did their little mini direct, which you can check out our reaction to over on our YouTube page, The Lonely Fanboys, at youtube.com. And in that mini direct, they announced that there would be a free trial of their fighting game, ARMS, which has been out for a while, but they're trying to suck some new players into it, and so they launched a free trial for it. So Joe and I both downloaded it, but I've been playing a lot of it.
You have
over over the last week or so. The free trial expires I think tonight at midnight.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Today's April 6th that we're recording this. So it unfortunately it will go away. But I was very tempted to buy the game.
Really?
And if it goes on sale, I would absolutely pick it up.
Totally.
I think it does a lot of very innovative fighting game things for people who are not fans of fighting games, which is exactly me. I'm very bad at Smash and Mortal Kombat, and I can't usually get my head around fighting games. But ARMS does a good job of like explaining the mechanics of a fighting game in a way that made sense to my brain for whatever reason.
Totally.
I think it helps that it's strictly arm-based combat, so you've got punches and grabs, and that I think that like that really, and you have a jump and a dash, but they're pretty short range compared to how long range your attacks are with your extendo arms.
Yeah, for anyone who remembers Wii Sports and more specifically Wii Boxing,
Yeah.
this feels like the next step or like the evolution of that game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because even though I was playing on a controller, I believe you can play with it's on the Switch.
Yep.
And you can play with the Joy-Cons in your hand and like physically be punching people.
Yep. Yeah,
to trigger the attacks, which is really cool that you can have a fight, like a legitimate fighting game where people can be standing there and like, you know, throwing punches with their own arms.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really neat game. There's a wide variety of characters. One of the characters will be showing up in Smash at some point. We're not sure who it is. I want it to be Lola Pop, who's the clown character, just because she's super cool. Yeah, it's a well-designed game. I think there's not a ton of depth to it, and that's why it hasn't taken off the way that, like, because for fighting games to really do well, they need to be like really replayable, and ARMS I don't think is there yet. It's fun to play for, you know, an hour or so with like a friend.
Yep.
And then you sort of play through it, and you play through all the characters, and you're like, yeah, I've seen it.
Yep.
You know,
yep.
this character does really well against this character, and there's not a lot you can do about it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, considering like Mortal Kombat, which is one of like the biggest games in the fighting genre, considering that is the brand new one that just came out is down to $23 right now, but ARMS is still a full $60 game. It just doesn't seem worth it.
Yeah, and if I'm gonna spend $60 on a fighting game, I'm gonna pick Smash.
Right, absolutely.
Just because of a much wider variety of characters and fighting styles and things you can do in that game. Yeah, $60 is too much for ARMS. If it was down to like 20 or something though, then I'd pick it up. It's super
definitely
fun.
Definitely at the 20, maybe even $30 range, like pick up that game. It is so much fun.
Yeah, exactly. Joe, are you ready for the most important question of our 5 questions?
Oh, I don't know.
Joseph Garcia Menical, what are you wearing?
Oh boy. I am wearing a Avatar The Last Airbender t-shirt, and on top of it, based on the style inspiration of a one Winston Bishop from New Girl,
woo!
I have a rhino print button-up t-shirt.
And I am loving it. It looks
Thank you.
Really good.
Thank you so much.
I think it's also on theme for our Animal Crossing episode.
I think so too.
You're looking a little Tom Nookish over there.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And now, Seth.
Yes. No, I forget that you do this every time.
Seth?
Yeah.
What are you wearing?
So gross. So gross that you do that. I'm wearing an appropriately gross hoodie. I've worn this hoodie 3 days in a row. I don't wear it all the time. I just wear it when I'm cold, and it's a little chilly in my room right now. So that's the only reason it's on.
Whatever helps you sleep at night.
It's not the hoodie, because I don't wear the hoodie to bed. It's fine.
Sure you don't.
This hoodie was sort of free from my university. Again, it's University of Minnesota gear. It was free when you set up a $25 student checking account.
Ah, that's how they get you.
A checking account that I used maybe 2 times in my 4 years at the university. So I did pay $25 for this hoodie, but it felt free at the time, which is, I guess, the important thing. Yeah, that's what I'm wearing.
Well,
there's a
very
t-shirt
cute.
There's a t-shirt under here, but it's just a white t-shirt. Not very interesting. Are you ready to go to our mailbag, Joe? We've never had to do this before.
Our what?
Our mailbag. We got an email.
We did?
Week.
Oh my gosh, from a new fan?
From a new fan.
Who is it from?
Well, let me read the letter to you, Joe, and I think they'll introduce themselves.
All right.
So this letter says, "Hi, love your show, long-time listener, first-time emailer. I loved podcast number 2. I totally agree with Joe that remixing songs is an art form." I believe I also said that, but whatever, singling out Joe. That's okay.
Thank you.
Our writer also says, "I loved the character of the genie. When will I hear him again?" And now I'd like to make an announcement, folks. The genie will be a recurring character on the Lonely Fanboys podcast.
Great.
He'll be the third host of the podcast. It's the genie, everybody.
Oh.
Give it up for the genie. The genie's made it. We're doing it. Lots of love for the genie. Gotta love it.
Man.
You okay, Joe? What's going on?
I'm fine. Just can we delete the email? Can we delete the email account?
Oh no, I changed the password.
Did he really say the genie thing, or is this just you?
Oh, he absolutely said the genie thing.
Okay.
Yep.
Keep reading.
Our fan continues to say, you both seem to drink a lot of water during the podcast. Maybe you can get a water company to sponsor you. Unless that's vodka you're drinking, in which case I'd recommend getting Tito's as a sponsor.
Oh my gosh. This is 100% water.
It's
hydrate or dihydrate.
Clean water. Here, look, I'll give a nice big old glug for the microphone right here.
Oh my gosh, you're going to drink that much? Oh my gosh. Oh.
I spilled it on my face.
Oh gosh. Ew.
I'm a messy boy.
Oh, stop. Is there anything else?
Yeah, the fan says, keep up the great work. Sincerely, Madison Fan. And P.S., Joe, please stop aggressively following celebrities. I'd hate for you to have to do a podcast from behind bars.
No one's going to let that go, are they?
No, they're not. You said a bad thing.
I meant religiously, I guess. I don't know. I say things and I don't say the right words, and I feel bad.
It's the internet, Joe. Everything's taken out of context all the time.
Know.
It's the only way anybody makes money. I
guess.
Great. Well, that was our mailbag. Thank you to our Madison fan out there who sent us that email.
Thank you.
Reminder that if you would like to be featured on the show, all you have to do is send us an email at thelonelyfanboys@gmail.com, and we just might read your letters on the show.
Absolutely.
We would love to know what you think about Animal Crossing and any of the topics that we discuss in the near future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Madison listener.
Yes. Joe?
Yes?
I just checked my wallet.
Okay.
It's looking a little empty.
Oh. Well, do you want some belly button lint?
Is that all you have?
Well, yeah, I mean, I got nothing in my wallet. I've just got my jar of belly button lint.
Wait, hold on. Let's establish the fiction here. You took the belly button lint from your belly button.
Yeah.
And you put it in your wallet?
No, in a jar.
In a jar?
Yeah. I don't understand what's weird about this. I keep one pocket has my jar of belly button lint. The other pocket has my empty wallet. What's so weird about this?
Those don't ever get mixed up.
How you feeling about this bit, bud?
Great. Stellar. 10 out of 10.
Should we go make some money?
Yeah, let's please do that.
Okay, let's do it.
Great.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Have you been loving every second of Animal Crossing New Horizons?
Boy, have I.
Don't you wish you could do that for every day in real life?
Oh, you bet I do.
Then we are excited to announce the Animal Crossing Getaway Sweepstakes.
Holy moly!
That's right. The winner will fly with 2 random-ass animals to a deserted island where they'll have to fight for their very survival.
That sounds great!
And that's not all. Once you arrive, you will be greeted by the Lonely Fanboy's own Seth.
What?
Together, you will scavenge for scraps of food, get stung by countless bees, and spend the rest of your waking years trapped on a deserted island.
I never agreed.
But wait, there's more. Once every few days, a plane will fly over and drop off another random animal for you to deal with. I mean, befriend.
Joe, that sounds really dangerous.
Enter today and you could also win a limited edition t-shirt that says, Seth forgot to order t-shirts last week and he's gonna pay.
Is that what this is about?
Don't talk to me, you scum!
Dude, are you okay?
The Animal Crossing Getaway Sweepstakes. You're gonna die with Seth.
Help! Somebody, help!
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I have a surprising announcement. We have canceled the getaway package. Seth, you can live another day.
Oh, thank God, Joe.
So there's been a little thing that we've been talking about since the very first Lonely Fanboys episode, and that is this little game called Animal Crossing: New Horizons.
On the Nintendo Switch.
On the Nintendo Switch. I have been playing it since launch, and Seth, you've been playing it officially for what, 2 days now?
Yes, I got it. I got the game 2 days ago. I've logged over 20 hours on the game in that time, so I've gotten pretty familiar with it. I think enough to give a preliminary review,
Sure.
at least.
And just like, what are your thoughts so far?
Well, I've been loving it. So I think I had a somewhat unique perspective
Sure.
on the game, getting it like 2 weeks after everybody else got it. It's given me a lot of time to watch other people play the game and watch these discoveries that get made and think about what I want my island to look like. So when I finally got into the game, I was loading in with all of these expectations and ideas for how I want my island to look. I think you've seen... somebody made their island into Hyrule.
I did see that.
Like
yeah.
Just like the whole map, which was so cool, and I like have so much respect for that. I could not come up with an idea that cool, so I'm sort of waiting for my inspiration to strike. But I was able to sort of load in with an idea already of exactly what I wanted to do. And I think a good idea of how to do the things in the game kind of the fastest. So like, I already knew about the digging two holes behind your rock when you're hitting it, and to not break your rocks, and to like, when you shake the trees like wasps, like there haven't been many surprises for me in the game yet. I've mostly sort of just been trying to like churn through it with the stuff that I know that's coming, to try to get my island to look the way that I want it to look, because I've had nothing but time to just sit and think about how I want my island to look.
Totally. I, on the other hand, like I said, have been playing for a while now, and I kind of started the game, with my base knowledge of the previous games. But for the most part, I went into this relatively blind. I didn't really know how much customization there would be in the game in terms of like changing the layout of the island and things like that.
Right.
So starting out, I was just kind of putting things randomly wherever I thought might look nice. When you start off the game, you have two villagers on your island, and they can either pick randomly where they want to live, or you get to pick for them. I just let them pick wherever they want to live. And now, what is it? 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, I'm starting to, I guess literally pay for that, in that like I have to pay 50,000 bells to move someone to a different part of the island now that I've like built a residential neighborhood where I plan on having everyone live. And I'm starting to form this idea of how I want to continue making the island. And I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. I think the discovery of it was really fun.
Right.
And I hope that there are still little like surprises, and like, oh, it would have been nice if I did this a week or two ago, but I can do it now. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I'm loving about Animal Crossing, is that it's really forgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not, like you said, you have to pay sometimes a lot of money to fix your mistake.
Yeah.
But you can still always undo something pretty much. There's usually some way that the game will help you correct an error if you did something that you didn't actually mean to do.
That's right.
Which is amazing. Before we get too far into this, Joe, you
Yeah.
are far more experienced with this. What is Animal Crossing?
Definitely. So Animal Crossing started off on, surprisingly enough, the Nintendo 64. Everyone thinks that it started on the GameCube, but actually it came out in Japan on the Nintendo 64.
I see.
Yep. And then it wasn't brought to the States until well after the GameCube was out, so they adapted it and put it onto the GameCube. Since then, they've had a game on most, if not all, of the Nintendo consoles, I believe.
I think that's true.
They might have skipped the Wii U. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, but all of the games have a general idea of being the same. You're brought to this place, and you build a house there. Sometimes it's an island, sometimes it's a city. You build your house there, and then you start building this community around you. You'll have maybe a few villagers living with you at once. They're animals with different personalities, different styles. And as the game goes on, it's just kind of a life simulator. You're upgrading your house. You're fishing. You're collecting bugs. You're donating animals, bugs, and fossils to a museum to make it look even better. You're designing your house. You're customizing how that looks. Your outfits, things like that. It's all just kind of a relaxing version of it's like a relaxing idea of a world.
Yeah, and the game takes place in real time, synced up with wherever you live.
That's right.
And so it has this sort of like lifelike progression to it where things happen on sort of a recognizable schedule to your normal life.
That's right.
Obviously, it's still a video game, so things happen a little faster than they would in real life. But it's not like some other, games like The Sims or something where you just, you can live an entire year in a day.
Yep, that's right. So if you're playing the game at 7 o'clock at night, it's going to be nighttime in the game. And if you pull fruit down from a tree, it's not going to grow back for 2 to 3 days. That kind of stuff. Yep.
Exactly.
Real life days.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's the big thing. But a lot of people have been saying this, and I am just going to echo it. They've made so many of these games now, and a lot of them have been slight iterations of the previous game. Mm-hmm. This one is, without a doubt, completely new.
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
There's so many features in this game that make it it's a brand new video game.
Yeah.
With some recognizable features, and of course, very recognizable characters. Characters who have become famous outside of Animal Crossing at all.
Yeah.
Like Isabelle is just a recognizable video game character in general. Tom Nook is a very recognizable person. I knew who both of those people were before I'd ever picked up an Animal Crossing game.
Yeah, I'm sure that there are some people that just think that Isabelle is a character in Smash and not really anything beyond that.
Totally. And that's great. That speaks to the reach that this game has.
Totally. So let's talk about some of those big things that the game has changed from the previous versions.
Yeah.
So, in the original game, you would collect fruit from trees, like I said. You might go fishing. And you'd always reach a point where maybe after playing the game for an hour, you'd run out of things to do and you'd call it quits for a day. It was a very casual game. It was just relaxing. You hop in, you do a few things, and then you leave.
Yep.
This game does not want you to leave.
No.
It absolutely does not. It's added so many things for you to do throughout the day that you could hop on the game at 7 o'clock in the morning and you'll be sitting on your couch playing the game until 7 o'clock at night.
Yep, absolutely. And that's what I did yesterday. I happened to wake up at about 6:15 yesterday morning, and I played the game until 11 o'clock that night.
Oh my gosh.
And I still wasn't done with all of the things that I wanted to do on my island.
Yeah.
And I had to put it down and say, okay, I'm going to save some stuff for myself to do tomorrow. Time to go to bed.
Yep. So the biggest thing I think that most people agree with, the biggest change of this game is that when you start off, your island, and that's where you start off on an island, and it is bare. There is nothing living, or there's no like buildings or anything like that on the island. It's just you, Tom Nook, one of the main characters of the game, and 2 random villagers, and Timmy and Tommy.
Yes.
And you start off at Tom Nook's tent, and he's like, here's your tent, go pick a spot. And then when you're done, if you want, you can pick a spot and help out your other 2 villagers. And that's it.
Yep.
But
Yeah, no, sorry. It like really, that's all you can do. You have no tools. Yep. You have no means to get anything. You can't even pick things up, which because I had watched other people play the game, I knew how to pick things up, but you can't until the game lets you.
Yep. And you're limited to where you can travel on the island because you don't have things like a vaulting pole to get over a river, and you don't have a ladder to climb up onto a hillside. So your first day of playing, you might only be able to access 20-30% of your island.
Yeah.
And so as you go each day, they give you something to accomplish. So helping raise the resources or funds to building a new building. They might give you a new item, whether that be a DIY craft, which we'll talk about later, that will allow you to build a tool. And that tool will let you now, it'll be like a shovel, and you can now dig up trees, you can dig up fossils, things like that. And so every single day there is something new to do.
Yeah, and it's great because you already have these things that you want to do, like your own sort of goals of, like I wanted to move all the trees on my island to like a particular place to make a forest, and like that in itself is going to take a while. And then on top of it, you have these sort of like quest lines, basically, to help the villagers and to help your town, which is a thing you want to do anyway, and you always seem to get rewarded with something that expands your ability of what you're able to customize on your island, which is such a cool system. So it not that the game forces you to do anything, but it incentivizes you to follow these quest lines, because if you eventually want to be able to like terraform your island and make rivers wherever you want, you're going to have to progress all the way through building up this town and helping everybody out, getting all these villagers to come see you. And in order to do that, you're going to have to do all of the other things that the game offers to you, like traveling to mystery islands and collecting resources there, selling tarantulas, all the fun aspects of the game. In order to do any one thing that you want to do, you're required to experience the whole game, which is actually great because the whole game is stunning. It's really well put together.
Yeah. And what's really fun also is, like I said, you start off with this island, and as we've said, you're slowly building this town, and eventually you're kind of getting to a city, where in the original game, you're just kind of dropped in a town or a city, and you can decorate it and make it look a little bit better, but you already have the shops, you already have everything. You slowly upgrade those shops, but that's another discussion. But it makes you appreciate those things so much more.
Yeah.
Like finally building Nook's Cranny, the shop, and being able to go in and buy stuff, it versus there being nothing on the island. It's just such an exciting thing versus in the original game being dropped in and having Nook's Cranny as a resource.
Right, and it's right there, and you take it for granted.
Yep.
Yeah, in this game, you have to work so hard to even get that first shop open and to get the museum open for the first time.
Yep.
It's and it makes all those little things so rewarding.
Yes. And something that I really appreciate about the game that some people might not like is it does take a while for things to progress.
Yeah.
You might spend a whole day just trying to build like a shop. And that gradual progression is so natural and seamless that I was just thinking about today. We were looking up some discussion points for later, and seeing how bare the game is at the beginning, you kind of don't even think about that now. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah, and I think the slow progression is also one of my favorite things about the game, because like I was saying, it forces you to experience the rest of what the game has to offer.
Yeah.
So like right now for me, my museum is in the process of being built. So I can't go donate fossils. I can't go donate new bugs and new fish.
Yep.
And so I've been focusing less on those things, and I've been focusing way more on the interior decorating and city planning and quest fulfillment parts of the game. Even though my favorite part of the game is the museum and fishing and catching bugs, I'm off doing these other things, and I'm learning that I actually really enjoy doing those things as well, and I'm getting really familiar with the crafting system, which has then in turn given me new ideas and new ways to use my resources to better catch bugs and fish.
Yeah.
And so the game has this very circular loop where doing one thing leads you to another thing. You do that thing for a while, and then the game says, hey, wait a minute, stop doing that. Go do this other thing. Go have fun over there. You go have fun over there, and then usually your reward for having fun over there is a way to do the thing you like to do, but better now.
Yep, exactly.
Which is incredible.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel like I'm never missing anything. I'm not going to get through the game, or there's no end to the game necessarily, but like I'm not going to play the game for 3 months and then have somebody tell me something and me go, "Whoa, I totally missed that about Animal Crossing."
Absolutely.
It really helps to ensure that most people are having a similar experience with the game, which is great because then when you talk to somebody about the game, they instantly understand what you're talking about.
Yeah. So let's talk about the one thing that is 100% new to this game. It has not existed in any of the other games. There's actually 2 of them, but let's start with the first thing, that's crafting.
Yes.
So I think I talked about this on a previous podcast, but in the old games, there was no idea of crafting. If you cut down a tree, it would fall over, and that'd be the end of it. You'd have a stump. You could dig out the stump, call it a day. Now, when you hack into that tree, it produces different kinds of wood. And you can take that wood and you can turn it into a desk or a chair. And how do you do that? You do that with DIY recipes that you can collect throughout the game. It's such a simple addition, but it makes so much sense to the game.
It's really like Minecraft Lite.
Yes.
On it, obviously you don't have the like full breadth of the crafting system that Minecraft has.
Yep.
But for people who are not used to using a crafting system, it's actually a perfectly simple little system. It doesn't necessarily feel video gamey. And in that I mean, like, all of the materials that you're using to build the things, it like makes sense. Like, if I need a flimsy fishing rod, I'm gonna get 5 tree branches and tie them together.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to have a fishing rod. It's not gonna be very good, but I have it.
Yeah.
And and I've got it. If I want an axe, I'm going to take a stone and a tree branch, and I'm going to tie the stone to the tree branch. Like, these things make a lot of sense. So when you're walking along, or harvesting materials or whatever, you harvest materials, and you when you pick up a material, you have a pretty good sense already of what that material is going to allow you to make, and it lets you, at a moment's glance, sort of put a value on the materials that you're picking up, which is important when you pick up valuable materials that could be sold to the shops, but also could be kept for crafting purposes. With this system the game has, where things sort of make sense in terms of crafting recipes, you can make a good decision most of the time about whether you should keep something or whether you should sell it.
Definitely. And another great aspect to this crafting system is, I mean, I'm still 2-3 weeks into the game, and it still feels like there are so many recipes I haven't found.
Totally.
Yeah. You collect recipes by finding messages in a bottle on your beach. Sometimes a villager will teach you one. And every so often, when you progress further in the game, you can purchase like a small pack of recipes from different stores. Just today, I found 3 new recipes that I added to my collection. I learned, I tried to see if it was worth making them. Super fun. And it adds so much to the game. I can't stress that enough.
Yeah. And it helps you want to keep coming back to playing this game, because you have that chance of showing up and there being finally a new thing to make.
Yep.
That it's the thing you've been dreaming of being able to make in
Exactly.
the game. It's this like, patience and then reward that the game, keeps hammering home on.
Exactly.
And it's a super successful strategy.
Yep.
I love the crafting.
Yeah. Right now, I unlocked a DIY recipe called the Kitchenette, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a little kitchen that I really want to put in my kitchen of my house. But I see on the list of things that it requires that I also build a ironwood dresser. and I do not have that recipe.
Yeah.
So I cannot build that, and I just have to wait patiently until a villager or someone or some part of the game teaches me that recipe. And I've looked on countless websites; they all just say you have to get lucky or meet a friend that teaches it to you.
But that has put real world value into your mind about this video game item. Like when that day comes, that's going to be a good day for you.
Yep, definitely.
Like you're going to have a good real life day because you found this item in the game.
Exactly.
And that's incredible.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I never thought I would be looking forward to the day I would have an ironwood dresser.
I know. Yeah. But it makes complete sense to me. Yeah. I feel you so much.
Yep, and I care so much that every day I have my little checklist. Walk around the island, look for that bottle, that message in a bottle that has the recipe. Check every single house for someone who walk around, go into everyone's house, see if they're building something, steal their recipes. Yes. You know, but really, like it gives you something to do every single day. It's very fun.
It's amazing.
So while it may seem like there's a seemingly endless amount of things you can do throughout the day, every so often you kind of run to a point where you get to a point where you're like, I don't know what to do now. Thankfully, the game also made a new solution for that.
Yes.
So I'm of course talking about Nook Miles.
Yes.
And Nook Miles is a little achievement points that you get for doing everything in the game.
Literally everything.
Yeah. You go and talk to one of your villagers, and you'll get a Nook Mile for talking to them for the 20th time in a row.
Yep.
Yeah.
Literally, like there's a picking up weeds achievement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just like there's a seemingly endless amount of crafting DIY recipes, every day some thing might occur throughout the day, and I'll see a new Nook Miles reward in my phone.
Yep.
But I've played so long, I've gotten to a place where I need to collect 200,000 weeds to get that next achievement point. But thankfully they thought about that too, because they also made Nook Miles Plus.
Yes.
So on top of things you can do throughout the game that kind of carry over day to day, the Nook Miles Plus are little achievements that they tell you to try to accomplish in that specific day. And at the end of the day, the list of options gets wiped clean, and you start over with a new list the next day.
Yep. And it's and Nook Miles, if we can talk about why they're so cool, they can be redeemed for any number of very, very important things to your progression through the game.
Yep. So talking about those DIY recipes, you can use Nook Miles to get new recipes. You can use them to get furniture for your house, decorations, customizable things for your phone, for your look, all sorts of things. But best of all, you can use them to get the Nook Miles ticket, which is a ticket. You take it to the airport, and you're then transported to another random island with randomly generated objects and different things, and you can collect new resources on that island. Sometimes there's foreign fruit that you don't have on your island, which is worth more money. Sometimes there's rare fish that you can find on the island. Tons of stuff. It's super cool.
And there's I think people have discovered there's like 10 different types of these islands. They fall into some, generic categories. And so the most common type of island is just like an island that has your island's native fruit on it. And then it has like a stream or something in the middle. So you can kind of do all the things that you would do on your island, except that because this is not your island, you don't have to care about preserving the island. So you can take all of the resources that you can just
harvest everything,
which is super important when on your island, like we were saying, things progress in real time. And so if you pick that fruit, your fruit supply is not coming back for 3 days, maybe 4 days. Like it takes a while. If you chop down a tree, you're not getting your tree back. Like, but you go to this mystery island, you can chop down the trees, you can break up the rocks, you can pick all the flowers, and you don't even have to worry about it at all because you'll never go back to that island. As the dodo who flies you there says, they burn the flight plans, so you're all good. Plant some trees and catch some bees. That's what he says every time you get dropped off on a mystery island.
Yeah, and so I don't mean to keep being the old geezer who says back in my day, but back in my day, you'd reach a point in the day where you, like I've said, you've collected all the fruit, you've talked to everyone on the island. There's just nothing else to do. When you reach that point in this game, when you've somehow collected all of the wood on your island, somehow collected all of the fruit, done everything, you still can use your rewards to go to more islands to get even more resources, get even more recipes sometimes, and you can just keep going in the game. And
because of the Nook Miles system, and especially the Nook Miles Plus system, by the time you've collected all the resources on your island, you probably have like 10,000 Nook Miles. That you can use, so you can still go have a ton of fun. Again, more fun than you can fit into a day, and then you hit the end of the day, and the day resets, and then you have a bunch of new fun stuff to do back on your island. And so it's this really, really fun loop of going from your island, doing all the things on your island, going to a mystery island, doing all the things on a mystery island. Maybe you go to 2 or 3 mystery islands in a day, and that's more than enough to take up, 8 hours worth of gameplay. And then, then you're ready for your personal day to end, and then you wake up the next day and you can do it all over again. And you the Nook Mile system is also very generous, especially where I'm at in the early game. It seems like you're earning a bunch of Nook Miles for everything you do. And so you never run out of Nook Miles. You can always go to a mystery island. It's totally fine.
Yep. And being someone who's played the game for a long time now, I remember being in your shoes and thinking, okay, but there's going to be a point where it's going to be harder for me to get those miles. I'm still I'll still be doing some random task and it'll pop up on my phone that I've accomplished some new Nook Miles thing. It happens every day, and every day I can accrue at least 5,000 miles, which means every day I can at least go to another island, a mystery island. And more often than not, I will go to that mystery island, and just by doing all of the things to collect the resources on that island, all of the interactive things I can do on that island, by the time I leave, I've not only collected more miles to pretty much pay for that trip. Sometimes I get enough to go back and do another trip.
Yep. Yeah, is that's the best feeling, to just feel like you can sort of infinitely loop these islands together. And that makes me so happy, because I do have that feeling, or I've had that feeling of, knowing that I'm in the early game and, should I be spending my miles now? Should I be stocking up on Nook Miles tickets for, a rainy day when all of a sudden I can't get any miles? But it sounds like that rainy day is not ever coming. I
have not found that rainy day at all. It's great.
Animal Crossing is just a perfect game. Yep. It's so well done. It makes me so happy. Is it too early to say Animal Crossing Game of the Year?
Ooh, that's interesting. I will have to wait and see, but so far I would probably say yes.
I mean, well, what else are we supposed to get this year? Because we're at the tail end of this generation of consoles.
Yep.
Remind me what's supposed to be coming down the pipeline this year, if you know off the top of your head.
I'm trying to think, but honestly,
I don't think there are a lot of competitors for Animal Crossing as Game of the Year.
Unless there's some big surprise that we just don't know about, I don't think there's anything.
The PS5 can drop on the holiday season, and something that's like a release with the PS5.
Right,
maybe.
If somehow, I'm pretty sure just because of COVID-19, they're going to push the release dates of both the consoles. But Magic Christmas Land, where, we get the consoles this holiday season, I think the only thing that could maybe beat this would be God of War 2 or Spider-Man 2, which I also don't think those are coming anytime soon, even if we do get the PS5.
Right.
It would have to be some magic moment that we just don't know about.
Yeah.
For something to beat this.
So what you're saying is, for right now,
For right now, yeah.
Animal Crossing Game of the Year. It's the Game of the Year favorite.
I think so.
As a lifelong Animal Crossing fan, can you imagine that's a reality now? That Animal Crossing could be the Game of the Year?
I really can't. I mean, I love the game, but
I know.
And we'll talk about this. Well, maybe we'll talk about it now. Is Animal Crossing a game?
Oh.
You know,
oh.
I've been playing this game for like I keep saying 2 to 3 weeks. I should probably look at the exact number, but I've been playing this game for so long. But I don't know if it's a game so much as just a simulation.
Right.
And so that's where I'm stuck a little bit.
I think it's the question of what is a game.
Oh, damn, dude.
I think it's in the game still you make decisions, and your decisions have pretty linear outcomes.
Sure.
Of you do a thing, you get some sort of reward for the thing. There isn't truly a risk of failure in Animal Crossing. There's no way to lose the game.
Right.
Like, as long as you're building an island that makes you happy.
Yeah.
That's
And that's a great point, because I've reached certain points in the game where I thought this what I do now is going to have consequences. For example, and we'll talk about this later, but I made a tarantula island. Mm-hmm. And I got bit for the first time by a tarantula on a mystery island. And so I thought, oh, if I get bit, does that mean it's going to send me back to my hometown? Am I going to be taken out of the island because I got bit? But no, it just takes me back to the dodo bird. I can't remember his name right now.
The one that flies you places is Wilbur.
Wilbur, yeah. It just takes you back to Wilbur at the beginning of that mystery island, and then you just keep going. There really aren't any negative consequences to your actions. Maybe you might have to spend one more day waiting for you to get find another resource of that type, but there's not really anything bad. Anything bad can really happen in the game.
Because with that extra time that you're spending waiting for something else, you're going to do a million other amazing, super cool things that make you just as happy as that one resource would have.
Exactly.
So I think really what Animal Crossing is like every video game's good ending.
Yep.
Like, it just
totally.
And so I think like it is a game. It just has like proven that you actually don't need risk reward to make a game interesting. You can make a game interesting with just reward and like patience. And this sort of like things just take a while to happen, and that makes you feel like you're working hard. And that's enough, actually, to keep people really engaged.
Totally.
I don't know. Yeah. What did you mean when you asked that question?
I don't know. I like I said, I've been playing this game for so long now. I kind of reached this point this morning when I was trying to come up with topic points, and I got to this question, like, is it a game? And I've just been thinking about what I've been doing in the game. I mean, I'm calling it a game. What I've been doing in Animal Crossing this whole time. And, there's the day-to-day tasks, so I guess that makes it feel like a game. But I don't feel like I'm working up to something.
Right. That's a good point.
In the original Animal Crossing, it was all about, people who speedrun Animal Crossing. They say you beat the game when you pay off your house fully. Right.
Sure.
And that paying off my house has become so secondary.
Yeah.
Bad life lesson, I guess, but paying off my house has been so secondary in this game. I've been focusing on everything else. I upgraded my house a few times, and now I'm just not really concerned about it. So I've kind of given up on trying to, quote unquote, beat the game.
Yeah.
So if I'm not trying to work toward an end goal,
and there's not so much of a plot, like
right.
You get to know your villagers, and you get to know Tom Nook, and you get to know the people in the town hall, I guess, but you get to know them so well, and then those things kind of stop to progress too, it seems like, and you can only have so many villagers on your island.
Yeah, and so I guess I'm kind of answering my own question where I guess it's a game just in those daily tasks, and those things that you have to accomplish. You know, maybe the goal of the game is whatever you want to make of the game, which is kind of fun. Like for me, I don't know if I'd keep playing if I completed my museum. You know, I might feel like, okay, that's a good wrap up for this game. I can move on to something else.
But the way the game has hooked you, though, is that with the system of seasonal fish and seasonal bugs, you won't complete your museum probably for a couple months at least.
Right. And maybe even a year.
And that's if you're really dedicated and you're catching every monthly animal.
Exactly.
And many of them,
all of the dinosaur fossils.
Yeah, and many of them are very rare. Like, they don't spawn that often, or there's like certain special conditions you have to meet to even get a chance at them spawning.
Yeah.
So, yes, it's a game. The tasks aren't always laid out for you. Like, you can just progress through the main story of the game, but the fun of the game is your freedom of customization, which again, the crafting really allows you to feel like you are so free to build whatever you want, because you're going out and collecting the resources, and you don't, like other simulations, or unlike other simulations where you have to sort of collect money, and money is the resource that you collect, and then you spend money to buy cosmetic items. Instead of Animal Crossing, you feel like you're getting the items for free.
Yep.
Because instead of costing bells, it costs this much hardwood and this much softwood and this many stones.
Totally.
And so it makes you feel like you're getting absurd value out of everything. Not to mention that you're crafting things and you're building things and you're harvesting things, and Tom Nook is giving you Nook Miles, which will let you go get the really fancy cosmetic items.
Yep.
And you feel like you're getting it all for free. You're like, this is such a great deal. Like, I'm so smart. I'm so financially savvy. Like look at me go. And so like that makes you want to keep playing because you just feel good. The game just does so much to make you feel like a good, competent person.
Definitely. So we've talked about a bunch of different aspects of the game, but one of the biggest aspects is the villagers on your island. And so I just want to have a little fun. I haven't gone to visit your island yet, so I'm curious who your favorite villager is, Seth.
Okay, well, I only have 2 villagers on my island right now, Goose and Cherry. Cherry is a goth dog, a goth punk dog, and she's red or pink, and I don't know, she's cherry colored, and she's great. But Goose is my favorite. I'm not a big fan of Cherry because she's one of those villagers that like won't let you talk to her too many times, or she gets like frustrated or like surprised if you like talk to her too much. I can't tell if she likes it when I talk to her a lot, but it seems like she doesn't so far.
Sure.
So we're like, I sort of like give her space. Goose is a chicken who's a meathead, maybe a rooster. Verdict's still out. But he's just like this jock. All he wants to talk about is just like lifting stuff, and like he was like talking to me about fishing, and he was like, I'm gonna catch a mega fish. What if I catch a minnow? Then it'll be a mega minnow as long as I catch it. It's like, okay, Goose, we can vibe. He when we were collecting we were like collecting resources for the town, he like stopped me and he was like, hey, I had this iron nugget that I was going to make some barbells out of, but I thought I would give it to you instead. And I was like, Goose, that's so nice of you. Thank you. Iron nuggets are so hard to get.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's a sweet guy.
He's great. I have him on my island as well, and he is a total bro.
Yeah,
like just completely,
for sure.
Both good and bad.
Yeah,
I saw online that if you play as a girl character, he hits on you.
Oh no,
which is very
Goose.
funny. Yep. Yeah. So my favorite villager is also one of the people that started out, and I love Sylvia.
Oh,
Sylvia is a purple kangaroo. with a little Joey in her pouch. And she started off a little passive. She didn't really like to talk to me very much, but I sent both her and Goose, they were both my starters. I sent them both a little package in the mail to try to soften them up a little bit. I recommend it. I highly recommend it because
that's a good idea.
The next day she started talking to me and we had a good relationship. And now we're close friends and she really loves the island. And every so often I'll be walking around and she'll be sitting on by a river singing to her little Joey, and it's adorable.
That's about the cutest thing I've ever heard.
It is just the best.
Wow.
Yeah.
That makes me so happy.
Yep. And I just finished putting an incline on one of the hills, and she ran up to me and thanked me profusely for building the incline so she could go up and watch the sunset with her kid. And she said, "I'm going to go watch the sunset every night now. Thank you." And I was that's God. Amazing. Yeah,
Did
she's
you cry?
So sweet. A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Oh.
Yeah.
That makes me so happy.
Yeah, and that's such a weird element to the game, and that's another thing I thought about is, if I were to think about Animal Crossing in like some big epic game like a Skyrim, I would imagine you having like dialogue trees with these characters and being able to communicate with them more. There's such a limitation to talking to them. You go up to them and at first you can only say like, let's chat. And then they'll say some little phrase. But then you do that so much, you build a relationship with them, then you can start gifting them things. And sometimes you'll be walking around your village and they'll run up to you and say, in my case, "Hey, Joe." And I'll talk to them and they'll say, "Hey, I was cleaning out my house and I saw this and it made me think of you. So I wanted to give it to you."
Which is like, it's a really genuine friendship. It feels like you build like a real relationship.
Yep. Yeah,
with these characters. That doesn't feel... sometimes dialogue trees, as much as they give you like expansive options, it also feels like at a certain point it's finite, right? And so like you're sort of fulfilling a particular type of role in this RPG character's life.
Yep.
But in Animal Crossing, it just feels like, no, we're just friends, and
we're just pals.
Like you just really like me.
Definitely.
You just really like the person that I am, and it's so validating.
I would just like to note, I'm now at a place where I can build lots for sale. And when I do that, I can now go to a mystery island, and I'm more likely to encounter an animal and tell them to come live at my house.
Cool.
And last night I encountered a character, and I wasn't so sure about this character, so I looked this character up online and came to find an article that said this character is one of maybe the most divisive characters in video games.
Oh no.
Yes. It is Pietra. Have you heard of this character?
I have not heard of Pietra.
I don't know their gender, so I'm just going to use they, them pronouns.
Great.
They are a ram.
Okay. Oh, I've maybe seen clips of this person.
And they wear clown makeup and full clown attire.
Yes.
So I got to that island and I saw a clown and I got so I got the heebie-jeebies, but I said, "Hey, you know what? Let me go talk to this character." And they were nice enough, so I decided to go for it. And then I did a little more research. Turns out Pietra is one of the few characters that you can't get to leave your island ever.
Oh no! Oh my God!
If you don't like them. They also will not change their outfit if you ask them to. So I've just got a clown on my island for the rest of forever, and I'm just gonna have to live with it.
Yes. When I was researching this game, I was like, I want the clown. I know everybody hates the clown. I want the clown. The clown belongs on my island. And
apparently, the Pietra's really sassy. Like they're kind of smug about the fact that they're a clown. And also their phrase is honk honk.
Honk honk.
Honk honk.
Wow.
So they're probably coming tomorrow, and I've got a lot to look forward to.
Well, your island is going to have so much personality now.
Oh, yes.
And honestly, I think that's a thing that's going to keep you coming back to the game.
Definitely.
Even months from now, just to be like, Even if it's a situation where you're like, I have to protect the rest of my villagers from this really creepy clown, like
Definitely.
it's going to give you, that's going to shape the way that you play this game for weeks to come.
Yep.
And that's great. That's so cool. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
I want to come back to your island and meet Pietra.
Definitely. Yeah, you should come back tomorrow.
I'll do it. I'm there.
Totally.
Okay.
So that kind of, speaking of that kind of brings me into one more discussion I want to have. And that's about like the cons of the game.
Yeah.
And things that I'm a little, it's a fantastic game, probably going to get Game of the Year after our discussion.
Yes.
But
we're going to decide that it gets Game of the Year.
Yes. But I don't think any game is perfect,
It's not.
And so I do have, as someone who's played for a while, I do have a few cons now. But I just want to start off by saying, as someone who's 2 days in, is there something that bugs you already?
Yeah. Yes, there is.
Okay.
The thing that bugs me the most is the event that's currently happening.
Yep.
Events in Animal Crossing are a great concept that, like, throughout the year, certain things will happen. I think there's supposed to be one, like, every month or so.
Yeah.
Where, like, a new character shows up, or there's a new thing to do, new things to craft, and, there's a whole new thing to focus on to keep you coming back to the game. The current one is for Easter, but they call it Bunny Day in the game, and this character named Zipper shows up on your island and says, "Haha, I've hidden eggs all around your island. How fun for you. If you craft all of the Bunny Day items, then I'll give you a special surprise on Bunny Day. Bunny Day is April 12th. Good luck." And then Zipper just sort of like hops in place for the rest of the day after Zipper shows up on your island, which is like fine and all, except that these eggs are everywhere. They are not hard to find. You find them more often than you find the resources you're trying to find, and that's the most frustrating thing, is that the eggs replace resources.
Yep.
So you'll be chopping a tree, and instead of 3 wood pieces flying out for the thing that you need to craft, instead you get 3 wood eggs. And you can use the wood eggs to only craft wood egg related items.
Yeah.
And that's it. Do you know? And they're everywhere. They're in every place in the game. They grow on trees. They're in the water, so you think they're fish. The little balloons that float above your head sometimes bring you really expensive and nice furniture for your house. No, those have eggs in them now too. When you hit a rock, you're trying to get those iron nuggets to open the store. No, now you get stone eggs. What the hell is a stone egg?
Yeah. Oh man, the Bunny Day, that whole thing started about halfway through my playthrough, so I got to experience like the vanilla game where there's none of that, and just like collect all of the fish for that month and not be like, I threw my line in, and at the very least I might get like a bass that's worth a couple $100 bells, and now
I would kill for a bass. I just have 14 water eggs.
So I totally understand where you're coming from, and I feel your pain. I think, how long has it been going now? I guess like,
it started on April 1st, so
gosh,
we're halfway through. We're halfway through as of today.
Oh my gosh.
6 more days.
Yeah. I think if it just went for like 5 days.
Yes.
Maybe 1 week.
Yeah,
I could live with.
You've already connected it to Easter. It should have just started on Palm Sunday, which was yesterday, and gone to Easter. And that,
totally.
That would have been plenty of eggs.
That would have been fine. Yeah, I that being said, I'm still going hard. I'm trying to complete all of the recipes so that I can see whatever the heck Zipper will give me at the end of the day. Oop.
Me too. I want it, whatever it is. Zipper has me around his little finger.
Yeah, it's a pain. I like the idea of it, and I think, knowing myself, I'll probably start slowing down on this game maybe within a month. But I definitely think like little things like these events will bring me back, and in the long term they'll do their intended purpose. But having one start just a few weeks into the game
Yeah.
has been a little
Ooh,
annoying.
it was rough. It is rough for me still. Just
I'm
like
sure.
Like I said, it's like sort of getting in the way of my like early game activities
Yeah.
that are supposed to be like a little easier, but my things keep getting replaced with eggs.
Yeah.
And it drives me crazy. That being said, am I very excited to see what they do for Christmas? Yes, I am.
Totally. And I think
so
the next one is Earth Day.
Oh yeah.
We'll see what they do with that.
Oh, see, like I'm excited about that already.
Yeah. So I don't want to gripe with this game. I love it. I think it's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But for me there are two kind of bigger things, and they kind of become one big thing that's kind of a con for me. And that's just that a lot of what you do in the game is you try to acquire furniture or items to put throughout your island or your house.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are very expensive and it takes a while to get them. And then you get them and then you set them up and you can't do anything with them. You can sometimes turn them on and they'll do something, but that's about it. And that's something that Animal Crossing has always had. It's always been mostly just cosmetic stuff. Yeah. And it's always been something that bugs me a little bit. Like, for example, Isabel told me to decorate my island so I could start building up my island evaluations so we could get to having KK Slider come to do a concert. And one of the things I decided to do was put together a little park on my island. In my mind, it would be like a fun little area where people would go and play. And I spent 5,000 miles on this teacup ride. Okay. And I got it. I set it up. And in my mind, I felt like, I knew it wouldn't do much, but I thought I could at least sit on it. And I would hop on it and it would spin me around. And I would have had so much fun with that. But all I can do is turn it on and off.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's just the one bummer. And that kind of brings it into this next thing. And that's just, there's so much to do in the game, but just because of some of the decorations that you can put on your town, it feels like there should be more.
Yep.
Like I go to Nook's Cranny and I see that they're selling a ring toss, and I think maybe I can put this somewhere and it'll be a little mini game that I could do. Yeah. And I understand that there are so many items in the game, making them all do something would be impossible. But in the very first game of Animal Crossing, one of the things that I loved was you could collect NES cartridges, and you could activate them, and then you would get to play that game. So you could play the original Mario Brothers on Animal Crossing, and I thought that was so cool. And
that is really cool.
Yeah. And so I feel like there should just be something like that in the game. And I know I'm complaining. I know it's just like, I feel weird about it, but
it makes sense though, because the game has set up this beautiful world. So it's like when something like that happens, it just feels like it takes you out of the world for a second. And it makes you think about developers and coding and how much stuff you can fit onto a Nintendo Switch cartridge, which are just not things I want to be thinking about when I'm playing my Happy Fantasy Island game.
Absolutely.
Because I'm sorry, I was going to say also what happens is I come visit your island, I see that you've set up this teacup set and ring toss, and I go over to play it, and then I realize that it's not interactable, and then I go, oh, Joe's island isn't quite as cool as I thought it was.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is not fair to you because you're doing the best you can.
I know. And that kind of segues nicely into the next part, and that's just the multiplayer aspect of the game. And I feel like there's something there. I feel like me getting to come to your island and us hanging out on that island is so cool, especially
Right.
during this time when I can't come visit you because of this pandemic. I'm trapped in my house, and all I can do to see you is play a game with you online. And even better, in Animal Crossing, I can literally see you, your character, your avatar. He looks like you. That's
Mm-hmm.
fun. But we experienced this yesterday when you came and visited me. I gave you a tour of my island. I gave you
Mm-hmm.
some of my resources. You gave me your fruit, your island's fruit. I gave you my island's fruit. And then we kind of had this lull in talking, and we both realized that there's not much else to do in the game, you know? And
Yep.
we started to like find fun things to do together. Like we played hide and go seek on the island, and we could probably like do like a fishing competition between the two of us where we make up what we want to do, and that's kind of fun. But I just wish there was something bigger. Like I wish you could come to my island and we play like a little mini game ring toss against each other. That would be amazing.
Right. Or like if there was a way to share like good creative ideas that people have for their whole islands. You can share the custom designs, which is great, and I love that you can do that. But if, people have, thrown weddings and parties and done all sorts of various interesting things that, sort of I feel like, new separate mini game modes inside the game. I just wish there was a way built into the game to like learn about that.
Yeah.
That wasn't just like me scrolling through Twitter and then seeing that somebody has done something very cool.
Definitely. Yeah, so, a fantastic game, but there are things that I would like them to maybe even add in the future if they could.
Yeah, it's like the game is like a 9.8 out of 10
exactly
right now.
Exactly.
And that's without any expansions or DLC or anything. The game's been out for a matter of weeks.
Yep.
It's very possible, and there have already been 4 patches for the game, I think.
Yeah,
so
3 in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like one happened every single day these past 3 days.
Yep. So that's all to say. Like Nintendo is aware. They're gonna obviously stay on it. It's the most popular game in the world right now. So they're going to make improvements to it. Just that also it's worth noting that there is room to improve.
Yeah,
there are improvements to be made.
And just like there's really exciting discoveries to have every single day. Maybe we'll reach a point where they'll say, "Hey, we're going to add this, but you have to accomplish blank." And it'll be something in a few months for us to look forward to and try to work towards, and that'd be great.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah. So kind of speaking about like the future of this game, we know that there's these events that they're going to have throughout the year, but beyond that, we don't really know if there's going to be any kind of downloadable content in the future where they'll add something outside of the game that you can download and add to the game. Sometimes that's free and sometimes you have to pay for that. If there was something like that, do you think you would pay to add something to this game?
I think it would depend on what it is.
Sure.
But I think like a thing that I would kill for in this game is farming.
Interesting.
It would have to be something that changes the way you can play. It would be like a new thing you can do as part of that everyday loop. But I would love there's turnips in the game, right?
Yeah.
And turnips are important and valuable and everything, and you get sold turnips by a turnip salesperson. But if you could start to grow, so like right now you have trees, you have fruit trees, and so you can grow a variety of fruit. But if you could start to grow vegetables and plants and maybe even herbs, and then if we got vegetables and herbs, then maybe there's a cooking function,
definitely.
and you can start to cook. At like every Nintendo game, Pokemon has the ability to cook in it now. Like, come on, Nintendo, let us cook in Animal Crossing. Let me make my Pokemon curry in Animal Crossing and in Breath of the Wild, and like we can have it all right here. It'd be incredible.
That's an amazing point. That's super.
I think like farming and cooking, like just like more like again like daily labor activities, but like a new one that I could add to my list of daily tasks I would pay real money to
Definitely.
get that as a DLC.
Yeah, it's so interesting. There's this indie game called Stardew Valley, and
Exactly.
it's very similar to Animal Crossing. There's a lot of areas where they cross paths, and because of that, when I picked up Stardew Valley, I was playing it, and I was like, this is pretty fun, but I wish I was playing Animal Crossing.
Yep.
And now I have Animal Crossing, and I love it. I
Yes.
haven't stopped playing it, but there's little moments where I'm like, oh, Stardew Valley did this thing. I wish that was in this game. And like planting stuff is an element that from that game that I wish was in this.
Yes. So
Yeah.
what would you want, Joe?
Oh,
If there was a DLC that you would pay for out there.
if they, I don't know specifically like the NES, but just like a mini games package. If there was something where they were like, play, if you set up a soccer field in your town, you can play soccer with a friend or a villager. Could you imagine playing soccer with Goose?
Oh my God, that'd be amazing.
It would be so much fun.
That makes that's a really good point. I also think Nintendo sends everybody on your first day on the island, they send you a Switch that you can have in game. And so if that were able to just boot up and and maybe it had the original Super Mario Brothers or whatever on it, or something like that, would be so cool. And then and it's great advertising for Nintendo. There's no reason not to do it, because then people are playing with their Switch in your game. It's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So let's wrap this all up.
Yeah, we've been talking for a while.
We have been talking about it for a while, but let's wrap this all up with just how significant this game is right now.
Yeah. Yes. So with most of the world being in some sort of quarantine or lockdown, or at least social distancing, it's hard for us to all see each other right now.
Yep.
But the thing that Animal Crossing allows you to do is to see anybody in the world and a likeness of them that they've created themselves, of how they like to look on their best day. You can go see them, you can go hang out with them, you can do most of your normal daily activities with that person, even though you're miles apart and you can't see each other for health reasons. It's really a social uniter in a time that we've never needed one more.
Definitely. And it's also just a delightful escape.
Yeah.
Anna and I have been trying to go for walks every day and get out there, but we're walking and we walk past someone else and we have to keep a distance from that person. And that's a little scary, going out and if you mess up, if someone coughs on you, you could now have this virus, and that's scary. Yeah. And just being able to be in a simulation of outside and watch the sunset, go talk to your friends, things like that. It's just relaxing and it's comforting. We talked about it before. There's no consequences in this game.
Yeah.
And so you can just relax and have a good time.
Yep. And when the world feels so dark, Animal Crossing has the light.
Yeah. So if you're listening and somehow at this point you don't think you should get the game, here is a huge 2 thumbs up from both of us. Get this game. It is perfect for right now.
I would even go farther and say that it's worth getting a Switch if you don't have one.
Definitely.
To play Animal Crossing. It is worth every penny.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. I think that's going to about do it for us here. Thank you all so much for listening. You can email us at thelonelyfanboys@gmail.com. We want to know about your Animal Crossing stories.
I want to hear about your villagers. I want to hear what little DIY recipes you've discovered. If anyone's found the ironwood dresser, please message me. I will give you all of the bells. I'll give you whatever you want. I need that.
Send it straight to Joe. You can follow us on Twitter at TLF_pod. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and ring the bell to get notified when we post new episodes. They always go up on YouTube first. We are also on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts, so if you're listening to us there, if you wouldn't mind taking 30 seconds to rate us and write a review, we would really appreciate it. That really helps us out. Thank you once again to A Light the Night for our opening theme song, Consequences. And now it's time for you to enjoy our original work.
An original work by Seth and Joe. Zipper asking Tom Nook for permission to host a bunch of eggs on his island.
Boing, boing, boing,
Action.
Boing, 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 boing.
Hello, can I help you?
Hi, Tom.
Oh, you know my name. Who are you?
I'm Zipper.
Oh, okay, nice to meet you.
Did you know the Bunny Day's coming up on April 12th?
Yeah, I think so. I was thinking about doing something for the island, but I just can't think of what to do.
Well, Tom, you've come to the right place, or rather, I've come to your place, Tom.
Oh.
Tom Nook.
Oh.
Tom Nook, whose nephews are Timmy and Tommy Nook. Thomas Nook.
What were you thinking of doing, Mr. Zipper?
Listen, man, I'll make it real easy for you.
Okay.
I got 10 tons of pure white cocaine.
Oh, what?
I got them hidden inside these chocolate eggs. The feds are on my tail, Tom, and I need your help. I hear you've got a hookup for deserted islands.
Yeah, I've got a ton of deserted islands.
Great. Well, you love your nephews, don't you, Tom?
Yeah, I love them more than anything.
You want them to grow up to be just as cute and handsome and successful as you, right, Tom?
I am pretty handsome. Thank you.
Great. Well, if you could just hippity hop over to your island with all my chocolate eggs and scatter them around, that'd be great. Get the feds off my fluffy little tail.
Okay. Where should I put them?
Just put them everywhere. How about you just put them everywhere? You can put them in the trees. You can put them in the water. You can bury them underground. Why don't you even put them in little balloons and tie little bows around them and put them up in the sky? Tom, doesn't matter to me.
But won't the residents get really annoyed by that? How will I make them want to be on the island anymore? I'm trying to make a profit off of this thing.
Tom, my boy, we're always talking profits. You want to be a prophet? I see your future, and your future does not include Timmy and Tommy if you don't help me out here, my guy.
Oh my gosh.
You'll find some way. Just tell them they can, they can make a cute little egg-shaped stool. They can sleep on a bed of eggs. They can get an egg rug.
Sounds so
they can
painful.
get egg wallpaper. They can get egg flooring, Tom. Tom, do you catch my drift?
They can make
it's
so
all
many
about
eggs.
The eggs, Tom. It's all about the eggs.
Okay.
Thomas, it's all about the eggs.
Okay, I'll do it. Oh gosh. And scene. That's gonna do it for us, everyone. Have a good night.